Very good evening. It's a raining Tuesday evening in the capital. This is News Night coming to you from our studios here at Labone. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo appeals to heads of African countries to strive hard to implement policy measures agreed upon at the just ended 28th Assembly of the African Union. Speaker of Parliament approved the setting up of a 5-member in-house committee to investigate the corruption allegations leveled against some leaders of the House. Vice President Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia assures of new policy directions that will make the Tema Port more effective and efficient and to improve customs operations. On the news across our borders, U.S. President Donald Trump sacked the country's acting Attorney General after she took exceptional step of defying his sweeping immigration ban. Thank you for your time on News Night. My name is Josephine Oppong-Yeboah. In our first story, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has urged colleague African heads of state to strive to implement the policy measures agreed to at the summit to meet the aspirations and wishes of Africans. He was speaking at the closing session of the 28th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where he delivered the votes of thanks.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo described the 28th AU Summit as a landmark one, largely because of the far-reaching decisions taken by heads of states present. He noted that the African leaders have made a bold decision to admit one of Africa's founding states, the Kingdom of Morocco, into its fold. The president added that the leaders have adopted the comprehensive proposals for the reform of institutions prepared by the leader of Rwanda, President Paul Kagame, and his advisory council of experts. The proposal, he noted, if vigorously implemented, will give a significant and enhanced impetus to the operation of the Union. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo applauded the Assembly for meeting the deadline of putting into place a program for the establishment of a continental free trade area to boost Africa's chances for self-reliant economic development, which will help realize the enormous potential of the continent and help bring prosperity and dignity to Africans. He used the opportunity to commend the outgoing chair of the AU Commission, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, for successfully completing her tenure of office and wish her well in her future endeavors. President Akufo-Addo also commended President Idris Deby Itno, the outgoing chair of the AU, for his calm, sterling leadership, which has brought new dynamism into the Union. President Akufo-Addo also thanked the Union for its assistance in helping to make Ghana's 2016 elections credible and its outcome acceptable, thereby enhancing the country's principles of democratic accountability, which have reinforced the peace, stability, and unity of the country.
Let's now turn our attention to the House of Legislature, where the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Oquaye, has approved that a 5-member committee within the House be set up to probe the allegation bribery claims against some leaders of the Appointment Committee of Parliament in relation to the approval of the Energy Minister Boakye Ejakong after vetting him. Professor Mike Oquaye approved the suggestion by both majority and minority leaders to set up the committee despite a call by MP for Ifiduase Asokori, Nana Ayu Efriye, for the matter to be referred to the Privileges Committee of Parliament.
On the floor of Parliament Tuesday, MP for Bekwai, who doubles as chairman of the Appointments Committee, Joseph Osei-Wusu, sought the permission of the House to resort to court to redeem his name and the image of Parliament in a corruption allegation leveled against him by MP for Boku Central, Mahama Ayariga. He said that his reputation and integrity has been badly affected.
Mr. Speaker, Let me repeat here, for the avoidance of doubt, that I, Joseph Osei-Usu, MP for Bekwai, First Deputy Speaker, and Chairman of the Appointments Committee, have never discussed, requested, demanded, nor received money of whatever quantum for myself or committee members from Mr. Boche-Jaku or any other person for that matter.
In support of his move, the MP for Effigiase Asokore, Nana Ayew Efriye, proposed that the matter be referred to the Privileges Committee of Parliament. But the minority leader opposed to the proposal, saying that the Privileges Committee is chaired by the alleged corrupt MP and so proposed for the House to set up an ad hoc committee based on Standing Order 191 and was supported by the majority leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu.
We need to redeem personal integrities, secure personal reputations, restore the dignity and reputation of this House. But we must do so only after a careful and thorough investigation into the matter. We on this side have no objection to you proceeding further. Suffice it to add, Mr. Speaker, that I would wish that given that the three other colleagues have requested for an internal scrutiny, whilst I have no control over what your judgment will be, Mr. Speaker, I will request that you refer this to a special ad hoc committee.
My worry, Mr. Speaker, is that if it should go to the Privileges Committee, it may attract unnecessary partisanship. And for that reason, I tend to agree with the application by the minority leader.
The Speaker therefore indicated that the corruption allegations stretched beyond matters of the Privileges Committee.
I'm more inclined towards 191. Under that order, I will rule that it is fit and proper for such a special committee to be set up accordingly into this matter of public interest.
The 5-member committee to investigate the matter for a month and then present a report. The committee is chaired by MP for Esikado Ketan and a former Attorney General, Joe Gate. Other members are Ben Abdullah, Amapoma Boateng, Magnus Kofi Moateng, and Benson Tongo Baba. Meanwhile, the Speaker warned members of Parliament not to make public comments that will affect the work of the committee or interrupt with their work in any form. Sitting resumes Wednesday, 1st February 2017.
Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources John Peter Amewu has told the Parliamentary Vetting Committee that government will work hard to sanitize and regularize the activities of illegal miners, particularly known as galamsey, when he's given the nod to head the ministry by Parliament.
Appearing before the Ministerial Vetting Committee on Tuesday, Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources hinted that the protection of forest reserves remain a priority for the Akufo-Addo-led administration. John Peter Amewu, answering questions on the challenges of land administration projects, stated that, if given the nod, his ministry will introduce digital registration of land titles to abolish the manual process.
The introduction of the GELIS, which is the Ghana Enterprise Land Information System, which seems to migrate our processes of registering land from the manual environment to the digital system. That is working perfectly. The other thing was the introduction of the Client Access Unit, which serves an interface between those who are submitting their papers and to those who are working on it. The good thing about it is that it's a very good project, and if funding is made available, we should be able to resolve all this problem within the land administration in Ghana.
He also touched on the introduction of the Consolidated Revenue Management Law, which has been captured in the NPP manifesto, adding that it will help formalize the mining sector and rope in on all individuals involved in illegal mining.
For the purpose of mining governance, transparency, equity, and fairness to the owners of the resources, it is proper the owners should be able to query and question government and officials what their resources have been meant and used for. The issues of cost-benefit analysis for projects that our mining revenues have been used for. And so the introductions of a revenue management law will be in that direction, while civil society organizations, chiefs and elders and opinion leaders will be able to determine where the money is going, what quantity of money is being used, and for what purpose is the money being used for. So
he assured that the operations of his ministry will be done in a responsible and transparent manner.
Away from that story, Member of Parliament for Krachi and Chumuru has assured Emerging News that a new ferry will be delivered to transport passengers using the Volta Lake ferry on River Oti between Dambai and Krachi by the close of tomorrow. His assurance follows reports of the deplorable state of the existing ferry, which is not only endangering lives but making movements on the lake very difficult.
It had been their desire for the vessel to have been transported there earlier. But you see, the fact is that it was said that when they stopped services at the Sechide, and then they had to transport it, they realized it was too big to go across the dam. Yeah. So they had to dismantle everything and then to send it in pieces in vehicles. So that is what delayed the start of the work by the vessel. So they have now assembled it and it's going to start working. And now the good news is that a new vessel is likely to leave today or tomorrow to Dambai. But what disturbed me was the fact that they were going to take the old one again away. But I felt that it is possible for them to leave the old one there, repair it, so that the old one can be used to support the work of the new one. But I must honestly say that the workers on the ferry are doing very well. They have done a very good job because they got themselves committed to working on this vessel anytime there was a problem, anytime we were about to cross and all that. But you see, it's not that the vessel per se, it's not the problem with the vessel per se, but the landing place is another major problem. I'm not sure that there's any permanent landing place. So I would want to, at the same time, encourage them, plead with them to get a more permanent landing place. Sometimes the vessel gets there and they find it very difficult to get a place to land. I think some more work has to be done. So the problem of landing has also become a problem to us.
You're still watching News Night. Let's go for a breather. Don't go away. Hello again, you're still watching News Night with me, Josephine Oppong-Yeboah. In other news, Acting Inspector General of Police David Asante Apietu says his outfit is currently in the process of adopting the usage of modern-day technological innovations to fight crime to ensure that the administration of justice are swift and fair. The IGP was speaking at a closing ceremony of a 2-week training program for selected police personnel in archiving studies and records management here in Accra.
The Ghana Police Service is one of the major stakeholders and activators of the criminal justice system in the country. And as such, its ability to handle sensitive document and archiving must be cutting edge. Based on this, the Ghana Police Administration, in partnership with the Department of Information Studies at the University of Ghana, have come together to train 20 police personnel in archival and data management. Speaking at the closing ceremony after 12 days of intensive training, Inspector General of Police commended the initiative.
The administration functions effectively within the framework of time consciousness. Unacceptable delays, characteristic of public sector institutions, should have no place in the police service again, as I can feel the anxiety of participants to put into use the knowledge gained in this course.
With the ever-changing face of crime and its sophistication, it has become necessary for the police to keep a step ahead of criminal entities using technology.
The police, as a major stakeholder and activator of the criminal justice system in the country, have prioritized the training of relevant personnel in archival studies and records management. However, in the words of Robert House in 1942, and I quote, "You can't train anybody to do anything that he or she doesn't fundamentally believe in, unquote. It is my conviction, therefore, that as records management officers, you believe in the crucial principles of this course and are therefore the right caliber of personnel to benefit from the training program.
Personnel were taken through records management, information as an organization resource, functions and procedures of registry, appraisal and disposition, and archival legislation and professional ethics as some of the courses treated.
Transparency and accountability in a democratic society are ultimately achieved by giving the public the right of access to information which can be achieved through records management.
Participants who undertook the training were awarded certificates. The training on archival and records management by the 20 police personnel is expected to greatly reduce document retrieval and help empower the prosecutorial powers of the police. Frank Nyenato, Metro News, Accra.
Away from that story, the Korean Foundation for International Healthcare, as part of its pledge to assist developmental countries in healthcare delivery, has built an ultra-modern theater facility for the Hohoi Government Hospital. The foundation also donated medical equipment to boost maternal and quality healthcare services across the region.
The equipment include a sterilizing machine, delivery beds, anesthetic, ultrasound, and monitoring machines, amongst others. The medical superintendent of the Hohoi Government Hospital, Dr. Mensa Pius, said the donation was in good time as the directorate tried to reduce maternal deaths in the region.
Now, we don't strive for theater space. The space is always available to attend to obstetric emergencies as and when the need is. The staff also motivated because, unlike doses where we work in a theater that we're not so comfortable because we couldn't ensure so much infection control because the buildings were leaking and there were some areas where there was communication between the theater and the outside environment. Now the renovation, theater is up to standard, and as staff we are motivated.
The Volta Regional Director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Joseph Tainwete, on behalf of the Health Directorate, thanked the Korean Foundation for International Healthcare for their support. The Korean Foundation for International Health, since 2015, has been undertaking a 3-year project to improve healthcare in the Hohoi municipal area.
Time now for some business news. Vice President Dr. Oppong-Yeboah has promised what he says is a new policy direction to make the Tema Port more efficient and effective and to improve customs operations. During an unannounced visit to the Tema Port, Dr. Oppong-Yeboah said the government is determined to create more jobs at the port in order to grow the economy and create jobs for Ghanaians.
Dr. Baumia first met senior officers of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at Tema Port during his unannounced visit. The Vice President then visited the terminals to interact with people who had come to do business at the port, some desperate to make their frustrations at the port known to him.
Immediately because wait, and the bicycle.
Dr. Baumia also went to Meridian Port Service, where he had a meeting with the Chief Executive Officer over the Tema Port expansion project. The Vice President also visited Nixcan, where he was taken round by the Director of Tema Port to observe how cargo is scanned before leaving the port. Dr. Baumia told the media that the workers at the port are hardworking and steps must be taken to address their concerns.
You have to understand that Ghana is not an island. We are in competition with other ports in the sub-region. And so we want to be able to improve the performance of the ports so that it will really increase economic activity in Ghana, and therefore we will see more jobs created. So this was to get a good understanding of some of the issues here and then take that on board for policy formulation to make things more efficient.
He added that government would be working with all the stakeholders at the port to ensure efficient service delivery.
And in news across our borders, U.S. President Donald Trump has sacked the country's acting Attorney General after she took the exceptional step of defying the White House by refusing to enforce a sweeping immigration ban. Sally Yast had earlier on Monday ordered the Department of Justice lawyers to stop defending Trump's executive order, resulting in a dismissal just hours later. And this is where we draw the curtains on News Night. My name is Josephine Oppong-Yeboah. Coming up next is Business Edition with Chrissy Efriye. Have a good evening.